Hello, today I'd like to talk to you about some common problems to do with blue and white painting. I had three students who drove all the way from Hawkesbury to come to take a lesson with me a couple of weeks ago. Thank you for coming to take a lesson with me. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy teaching them. So I'll run through some of the questions they asked me that I feel like it's going to help you. Question number one, with the homemade recipe of cobalt oxide blue painting, why did the pigments appear to be coarse and difficult to paint with, and why there were like dots when they do the painting? And the reason is because the pigments are not fine enough. You have to use a mortar and pestle to grind the pigments down to a very, very fine grain. And so that's going to take a lot of effort. You have to keep grinding, keep grinding, keep grinding. That's what I learned from a couple of companies and founders I talked to in Taiwan. And also, after you finish grinding, you want to make sure you add some gum solution and some Arabic gum to help with the brushability. It not only helps the paint stick to the beeswax, it also helps the brushability. When you do the painting, it's just going to be so much nicer to paint. You just find it a lot more enjoyable if you add these two ingredients. As to how much you need to add the CMC and the gum Arabic is it's very nuanced, to be honest. I think you're really gonna have to experiment. I would say maybe for a small plate like this, start with a few drops, see how it feels. If the paint is not sticking to your piece, then add a few more drops and keep experimenting. I'm not giving you like super precise measurements because the answer is always very nuanced. How much water you've added, how much powder you've added for the cobalt oxide, manganese oxide, and whatnot. It's all very nuanced. It's going to take a lot of experiment. I always say start with a few drops and then add more if it doesn't work. I'll include a recipe in my description which you can test with. I found this recipe from the website called Glazy, and I've not tried it personally. You're gonna have to try it and experiment it. Let me know how it works out, and comment in my video and let me know if it's worked out for you. So those are some of the top tips in terms of the recipe, and I think you might want to ask, how about me? What paint am I using? The paint I use are actually from China and Japan. I've sourced them, it's taken me a long time to source them, a little bit expensive to import, very troublesome to ship over because of custom immigration rules. So yes, a little bit tricky. I think I'm going to try and import more and put them out on my website for people who might want to try them and make it easier for students and people who want to try it. So that's my plan. Hopefully I get it going soon. But yes, I've been able to sell a couple of those to my students. I don't have the China one here, but I only have sorry for the creaking on my chair. This is the Japanese paint I bought. So yes, they are pretty good. They've got gum in it, and they can last for a long time. yeah, you know, I just don't have that much time on my hands to go grind everything down to a fine grain. It just takes too much effort. I don't want to do it. So I just buy the paint. Um, yeah, and even then, if you buy this paint from China or Japan, every time you mix the paint, say about 100 cc to half a teaspoon, you should still run through the entire mix through a 100 value sieve. It's just so it's like super super fine, and you're not gonna get weird dots on the plate when you paint or after you finish firing it. So never ever skip that process. After you finish the painting, you want to save the paint, just run through the remaining paint, run it through the sieve, and then save it in a little container. The next time when you use it, run it through the sieve again, so that it's gonna be nice and fine. It's gonna be so much more enjoyable to paint. And so those are some of the tips. Problem number 2: why did your paint end up losing? Why did your paint end up looking fuzzy and blurry? That would be because of how the paint had interacted with your transparent glaze. And how do you solve that problem? After you finish painting, right? Do a firing of about 600 to 700 degrees Celsius. That would help your pigments dry and be fixed, so-called fixed, on your beeswax. And then when you spray the transparent glaze over, or you do a dip, you're gonna not have the pigment interact with your transparent glaze in a way that cause the fuzziness. So that is solution number 2. And then solution number 3, in terms of the third question, as to how do you get a better blue and white execution, nicer tone of all the different intensity of the blues, is number 1, use green tea. So use green tea, mix it with your cobalt oxide pigments, either your own recipe or these ones that you bought. And the green tea has some ingredients in it that help the blue cobalt oxide stick to the beeswax, and it also creates a nicer blue. I've heard this from some masters in China. The older your green tea is, the better it is, the nicer the blue is gonna look. Apparently you just get a much more beautiful blue out of very very old tea. So I keep my tea in a bottle, and over time mold is gonna grow in the bottle. It smells really bad, but you can just scrape off the mold. Is fine. You just have to put up with the smell, which is not very nice. So personally, I don't use it for my students because I just didn't want them to go through it smelling it. But you can use green tea, just keep topping it up with leftover tea. Another interesting thing I've heard from my teacher's employee was the use of Hong Cha. In Chinese it's called Hong Cha, but it's translated as red tea. So apparently red tea is going to create a really nice blue as well. So that is something I haven't tried personally. I've been too lazy to go source for red tea. But give it a try and let me know if you see a difference between green tea and red tea. So that is the answer to how to get a nice color effect. The last thing I like to share is the difference between using an electric kiln to a gas kiln. So I've learned this from some of the artists in Taiwan. If you use a gas kiln, you're gonna get a much nicer color effect overall, because I think the slow firing from the kiln and the build up of the temperature create nuances that it's going to be very different from, electric kiln. So you're going to get a much nicer color effect from using a gas kiln. Personally, I don't use a gas kiln because it's really difficult to maintain a gas kiln to get council approval here in Australia. So I just use electric kiln. To be honest, I just can't put all my effort into my painting techniques to make sure I be able to capture different tones well, capture the gradients really well using the floating wash method, and that saves me a lot of grief. So those are some of my tips. I think all in all, that's about it to some of the questions that my student asked. If you have any other questions, feel free to post a comment, and I'll see if I have those answers. So I hope this helps you. If you'd like to do a class with me, feel free to contact me or sign up on my website, lizzieceramics.com. Lizzie spells as Lizi. I'm going to set up some online classes, and it's been just really nice to try out an online class. I just did one this morning, and that was cool. I really enjoyed it. It was so nice to meet people from across the world. So yeah, I would love to meet some of you if I get a chance, and maybe one day even come and visit you in your country. It's just a nice way to meet people and get to know people. So thanks a lot for watching this episode, and I hope this helps you in your journey of exploring Qing Hua blue and white painting. I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks a lot. Ba-bum.